Hey, it's Meg, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, it's a super exciting one. I am making the junk journal that I will be using for the Junk Journal July 2023 challenge. That's in collaboration with the lovely folks over at Get Messy. So if you are just hearing about this now and you still want to get involved, there is still time. You can still make your journal for this and get involved. I will leave the prompt list up on the screen for you now, or you can hop over to my Instagram. I'm at megjournals over there, and you'll find all the information that you need to take part in this challenge. It's completely free. You just follow along with the prompts, and there's a hashtag which is hashtag junkjournaljuly. You can add that tag to your posts when you share the pages that you make throughout the month, or you can also dive into there for loads of inspiration. We've done a few rounds of this challenge before, so if you want to take a look back at some of the pages from previous years that people have done for some inspiration and ideas, then I definitely recommend that. Also, if you're feeling a little bit stuck on one of the days, or you just want to have some bit of inspiration and something to kickstart what you're creating for each day, I've teamed up with 29 amazing creators and artists here on YouTube. I will leave the little graphic on screen now, and you will see a brand new video from each of these creators, and I will pop them into a playlist each day, so that'll be live at around about 6 o'clock BST each day, so you can follow along. And it's really great because you'll see lots of different styles from each of the artists in the collaboration. So a big thank you to everybody who's getting involved with that. Now back to the journal that I am making for this challenge. So I'm making an accordion style journal, which is basically a no-sew like concertina style journal that you can use the front and the back of. It's a great way to use up scraps, and I'm doing it in a passport size. So you'll have seen I just grabbed one of my blank traveler's notebook passport inserts just to trace around the size. So nothing is like hugely exact, especially when it comes to accordions. You can do some measuring, but I tend to really like when there's a little bit of, rough edges, and nothing's exact, nothing's perfect, and I think that's just fine, especially for a challenge like this. So that's the size of journal that I'm making, and I'm just using some thicker card here for the covers to get me started. And I did think about using a landscape journal rather than a portrait one, but I decided just to stick with portrait for this journal. So whilst I'm putting together the pages of this accordion journal, I thought I would answer some of your guys' questions. I popped a sticker box on my Instagram to see if you had any questions about the challenge or about junk journaling in general. So I'm going to answer a few of them in this video. So the first one that I had was, how do you decide which prompts to use? Now, they are set up in a way that you can follow along each day of the challenge, so you can just go from 1 through to 31 and use one each day. However, there is no rules, so you don't have to go in that order. You could go backwards, you could just pick one out of a hat each day that you want to do. I know that Barbara over at 49 Dragonflies has done a couple of videos where she's actually cut out all the prompts and put them into like a hat or a box, I think it might have been, and kind of picked out like multiple to use them all at once, which is also a really fun idea for using prompts, and just whichever way works for you. Like I said, there's no rules for this. It's just a way to help you to kickstart your creating. So even if you use one of the prompts and you kind of get started and then you kind of create something completely different, prompts are all just about helping you to get started. And of course, there's no right or wrong way to interpret something. I think one of my favorite things about challenges like this is that you could give people one word and you will see like 10, 20, 30, like loads of different interpretations of the same word. Which is really fun. So I do encourage you to maybe check out the hashtag each day and see what everyone is doing for the prompts, because you'll find that there are so many different takes on each of the day's prompts. So the next question that I had quite a bit, and it's one that follows on from what I was just talking about, is people asking for advice or tips or what to do for a specific prompt. So for the playlist prompt, for example. And I think the collaboration that is going on throughout the month with all of the different artists is a really great way to help you to find inspiration for the different prompts. So you could follow along with what the guest artist is doing. Like I said, there are loads of different styles of creating and journaling that will be on show. It's not just, I like my vintage vibes, but we've also got the likes of Kia Creates, for example. She does some really bold, bright, maximalist spreads that's completely different from mine, so you'll see a whole different take on the prompt for that day. So you can definitely follow along if you're looking for some ideas and a way to get started. You can also go into the hashtag, like I said, there's loads of stuff already in there. I think we're approaching around 20,000 posts or something under the hashtag, which is insane. So yeah, there's loads of stuff to look at. I know that the folks over at Get Messy will be sharing some of your guys' posts on their page throughout the month on Instagram. Last time in January, they did a weekly spotlight on a Sunday of everyone's posts throughout the week, some of their favourites and some great ideas that people had had. So definitely follow them to keep an eye out for seeing everyone's posts as well. I think that's just my favourite part about one of these community challenges like this, is seeing everybody's takes on the different prompts and the ideas that you get from showing up daily. Even if you don't necessarily like what you create, you can kind of try different ideas. So even if you just sit down with your prompt for the day and it's maybe playlist, for example, and you just sort of jot down things that come to mind when you think of playlists. So maybe that's some songs you've been listening to recently, maybe it's around a certain theme. There's lots of different things that you could do for playlists. So write down a list and then maybe see what takes your fancy with how you could translate that to a journal page. So another question that I had was, this is my first Junk Journal January or Junk Journal July. What should I expect day to day, week to week? So first of all, it's amazing to see so many new people who are getting excited for this challenge. Whether you've done journaling before or whether you might even just be trying it out for the first time, it's a great time to try it out. And so yeah, like I said, we've got the daily collaboration going on, so you'll have a new video from a different creator each day. I will also be sharing my prompts each day on my channel, so you can watch along with those if you'd like. But there's no pressure or schedule or anything like that, so if you haven't watched any for the first couple of days, then maybe you could just catch up on some of the videos. There's no rush to have everything finished when we get to July 31st. I know I've had messages from people who say that they're still working on or finishing up their journal from January, so there's no pressure to have everything done by the end of the month. This is not a school assignment, it's just for fun. So take as many or as little prompts as you want to do, and yeah, you can continue on in the months to come as long as you are having fun creating in your journal. I think that is the main thing. So another question I had was around what journal to make. So it's up to you which journal that you make for this challenge. I would say that if you are new to this, I would recommend a smaller size journal, so maybe an A6 or like I'm doing a passport size. But if you like to work larger, of course you could use an A5, you could use a standard TN size. That's what I used for my journal in January. You could have pages that are all the same size, you could have pages that are different sizes, you could include envelopes. It's totally up to you which journal you would like to use for this challenge. I really do like the no-sew accordion if you're new to journaling and you don't want to do any binding. However, the simple figure of 8 stitch is also a really beginner friendly way to bind a simple one signature journal insert. I'll leave some tutorials in the description for you if you're looking to make your own journal for this. Or you could even maybe go down the route of an altered book. So if you have an old book from a charity shop or something, you could already use something that is bound and then do your journaling onto that. Maybe you could even just use a sketchbook. There's no pressure to make your own journal if you don't want to. You could use like a brochure or a magazine. There's loads of different things. You could even just use single sheets of paper and then bind them together to make a journal at the end of the challenge. So yeah, loads of different things you could do for your journal. My recommendation would be a smaller size just to keep it manageable, so like each day you don't feel like you have to do loads in your journal, and it keeps it manageable for a daily challenge to help you to show up with your journaling. So I'm just adding some of my final papers here to the end of my accordion journal. As you can see, I've used lots of different papers, so some packaging, some scrap papers, some like book pages, some scrapbook papers as well. A really eclectic mix. I think that's what I enjoy about these journals, is that they are a great way to use up scraps, but they also come out looking really eclectic and also unique. So if you make one like this, you're not going to find somebody who's made an exact replica of this. It will be a journal that only you will have. And it's also a great way to give you something to get started with on the pages as well. You have something to respond to, even if it's just to cover up what's on the page because you don't like it. It's still giving you that first step of something to do for your day of journaling. So I'm just adding some simple decoration to the cover here. So I'm using a brown label sticker and then some of these alphabet stickers in this pink, because I thought that would be a nice contrast to all of the earthy and more muted tones that I've got going on in this journal. And I was also using quite a few like pink papers and pink flowers as accents throughout the base pages of this journal, so I thought that having the July in pink would be a nice nod to that. So at first I did want to put July 23, but it kind of didn't fit nicely, so I just decided to stick with July on the front. And then to help this journal to close once I start working in the journal, what I did was got my hole punch, and in the front cover I just added a hole punch on the side, and that allowed me to weave some string in and use that as a closure. So when this journal starts to get a little bit more bulky, it's a way to close the journal to stop everything from spilling out. So that's the journal I have for this challenge. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in July for the challenge. Bye guys!